Welcome back everyone to our channel where we dive into the fascinating world of coins, collectibles, and the hidden treasures that may be sitting right in your pocket change. And today we are going to unravel one of the most incredible stories in the history of modern numismatics. A story that begins with a coin that most people would casually overlook, a coin that has circulated countless times in ordinary transactions. The 1993 1-cent piece, the humble penny. But what if I told you that one such penny is not just worth 1 cent, not even $100, not 1,000, but in fact over $3 million because of its unique combination of errors and mistakes that make it an extraordinary rarity? And that is exactly what we are going to discuss in depth. In this journey, we will explore every possible detail about how such errors occur, why collectors value them so highly, the types of mistakes that can transform a seemingly ordinary copper-plated zinc coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure, the incredible story of its discovery, the endless possibilities of error variations, and why the 1993 1 cent with extraordinary mistakes has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. So sit back as we delve deep into the minting process, the technical errors, the historical context, and the sensational market for rare coins that elevate a single cent into the stratosphere of value. To understand why a 1993 1 cent coin can be worth $3 million, we first need to appreciate how coins are made and why errors can slip through. The minting process is supposed to be one of precision, where planchets, the blank discs of metal, are fed into high-speed presses with engraved dies, and in perfect conditions each strike should produce a flawless coin. But reality is far messier. Dies wear out, planchets are flawed, presses misalign, and workers sometimes make mistakes, and when such conditions align in a rare and unusual way, the result is a mint error coin, and mint errors are highly collectible depending on their rarity, visibility, and demand. In the case of the 1993 penny, it was struck during a period when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of copper-plated zinc cents, having switched from mostly copper composition in 1982 due to rising metal costs. And zinc cores with thin copper plating created new possibilities for errors because the plating could blister, peel, or fail during striking, leading to spectacular minting mistakes that collectors covet. The 1993 penny worth millions is believed to have been the product of a remarkable series of blunders. It may have been struck on the wrong planchet entirely, possibly a leftover planchet intended for another denomination, or even a foreign coin blank. Imagine a penny-sized coin struck on a dime's 90% silver planchet, or a cent pressed on a planchet meant for a different country. The rarity skyrockets in such cases, and sometimes mules are created, where the obverse die of one denomination is paired accidentally with the reverse die of another, and these hybrid errors are some of the most valuable coins ever, such as the legendary mule errors of quarters and dimes. And if a 1993 penny were struck as a mule with, say, a dime reverse or a Jefferson nickel reverse, its uniqueness would guarantee astronomical value. And then there is the matter of double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die caps, all of which could have contributed to this coin's unique appearance. Each of these error types brings different forms of dramatic visuals, and the more dramatic and well-preserved they are, the higher the value soars. Collectors thrive on visual shock, and an error that looks spectacular becomes an icon. Imagine a 1993 penny that was double-struck, the second strike being off-center, leaving a ghostly image of Lincoln's head overlapping itself, or one where the reverse lettering E pluribus unum is twisted and half missing due to a die clash, or the memorial building warped by a misaligned die. These are not just mistakes, they are pieces of minting history that escaped into circulation against all odds. And scarcity is the key. If only one or two examples exist, their uniqueness creates bidding wars among wealthy collectors, driving values into the millions. And that is precisely what happened with the famed $3 million penny. One must consider also the psychology of collecting. Rarity combined with a story captivates the human imagination. When a collector hears that a simple coin from 1993 could harbor mistakes so extreme that they border on art, they cannot resist chasing it, and auction houses know this. When such a coin comes to market, they promote its uniqueness, its backstory, and its rarity, fueling competitive bidding. The market for such coins is international, with buyers in the US, Europe, and Asia all eager to own a piece of history, and the more publicity a coin receives, the higher its value, and so the $3 million penny becomes not just a coin but a legend. The possibilities that could have made the 1993 penny worth this much include a wrong metal error, like being struck on a bronze blank after the mint had switched to zinc, creating a transitional error highly prized. Transitional errors occur when the mint changes compositions but accidentally strikes some with the old formula, and these are famous for their immense value. Another possibility is a double denomination error, where a cent planchet already struck as a dime is fed back into the press and struck again with cent dies, creating a ghostly overlapping design that is so bizarre and scarce it stuns even seasoned collectors. And then there are rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse are not aligned properly, creating a twisted appearance. While not usually multi-million-dollar coins, in combination with other errors, such a freak occurrence could indeed justify the astronomical price, especially if only one example is known. What makes the 1993 penny so special is not just one error but a confluence of them, a once-in-a-century mistake where the wrong planchet, misaligned dies, double striking, and plating flaws all combined, creating a coin so visually and historically unique that no other like it exists. And when you have a one-of-a-kind coin, the price ceiling disappears. Collectors will bid as high as necessary to own the only specimen, and that is why its price soared past $3 million, setting records and inspiring treasure hunters everywhere to inspect their pocket change more carefully. Let's think about how such an error could escape the mint in 1993. The US Mint had high-speed operations, billions of coins produced, yet despite quality control some errors did slip by. Mint employees might have overlooked unusual coins in the rush of production, and once such a coin enters circulation its fate is uncertain. Many are lost, worn down, or even destroyed, making survivors incredibly rare. So the discovery of one such piece decades later is akin to finding buried treasure, and the chance that others exist keeps collectors motivated to keep searching, feeding the culture of numismatics where hope, history, and money intersect. To put the value in context, think about other famous era coins, like the 1943 copper penny worth hundreds of thousands, or the 1955 double die cent which can bring six figures, or the 2000 Sacagawea dollar mule with the state quarter reverse that can sell for tens of thousands. Each of these errors teaches us that rarity, story, and demand set the price. And the 1993 penny combines all three in spectacular fashion: rarity because it is unique, story because of its bizarre minting sequence, and demand because collectors and investors alike want a piece of it, and so the market responded with unprecedented numbers. Imagine being the person who discovered it, perhaps casually sifting through a jar of pennies, noticing something odd. Perhaps the thickness felt strange, or the weight was off, or the design seemed distorted, and upon closer inspection realizing that this was no ordinary coin, taking it to an expert or sending it to a grading service for authentication. And then the shock of hearing back that this penny was indeed a multi-million-dollar rarity. That moment alone would be life-changing, turning pocket change into fortune overnight. And stories like these fuel the dream of ordinary people to keep looking, because you never know when a treasure might appear in the most unlikely of places. The 1993 penny's errors could also include planchet laminations, where the copper plating peels to reveal zinc underneath in dramatic patterns, creating a striking appearance, or struck-through errors where foreign objects like grease, cloth, or wire leave imprints on the coin during striking, or even blank planchet misfeeds leaving partial designs. Now let us move forward to another astounding story in the world of numismatics, a story that proves once again how a tiny copper-plated zinc coin, something most people would never think twice about, can turn into a fortune, and this time the spotlight shines on the 1997 1-cent piece. A penny that in rare circumstances with unusual minting errors and mistakes has been valued at an incredible $2 million. And while at first glance you might wonder how this is even possible, the truth lies in the extraordinary combinations of mint errors, transitional issues, and once-in-a-lifetime accidents that make certain coins priceless. So today we will unravel the mystery of how a simple 1997 penny could command such breathtaking sums, what kind of errors might be responsible, and why collectors around the globe are willing to spend millions for the chance to own such a numismatic miracle. To understand the magic of the 1997 penny, we must look at the era in which it was minted. By 1997, the U.S. Mint was still producing billions of zinc-based cents each year, and errors in this period were less common compared to earlier decades due to improved technology and stricter quality control. Which ironically makes surviving dramatic errors even more valuable because they are not supposed to exist, and when rarity collides with impossibility, value explodes, so the 1997 cent worth $2 million likely resulted from a combination of wrong planchet usage, misaligned strikes, or a mule pairing with another denomination, and these categories are legendary in the numismatic world. Imagine for a moment that in 1997 a penny die was accidentally paired with a dime blank of 90% silver, instantly creating a transitional off-metal rarity that could never be repeated. Or perhaps the coin was struck on a foreign planchet intended for circulation in another country, giving it the wrong weight, wrong metal, and a bizarre appearance that screams rarity, or even more sensational. Maybe a mule error occurred, where the Lincoln obverse was mistakenly paired with the reverse die of a Roosevelt dime or a Jefferson nickel, resulting in a freak coin that should never have left the mint, and since only one or two such mistakes could slip through unnoticed, their rarity would guarantee a value reaching into millions. Another possible explanation for the 1997 cent's incredible value is a double denomination error. Imagine a dime that had already been struck with its design accidentally fed back into the press and overstruck with the design of a penny, creating a surreal hybrid coin that has overlapping portraits, numbers, and lettering. A truly jaw-dropping mint error that collectors would fight to the last bid to obtain. And since the 1997 penny era was not known for such spectacular blunders, the survival of even one example would send shockwaves through the collecting community, which is exactly why its price soared past $2 million when it appeared at auction. Beyond the technical minting mistakes, the story and narrative also play a huge role in the value of the 1997 penny, because collectors love a good story, and this coin represents a perfect storm of rarity, accident, and discovery. Perhaps it was found by an unsuspecting collector going through a roll of pennies from the bank, or spotted by a sharp-eyed dealer who noticed something unusual about its color, weight, or design, and after authentication by a top-grading service it was declared a unique error of unparalleled rarity, sparking media headlines and attracting global bidders, each of whom wanted to own this miracle of chance. And in the end the winning bid secured it at around $2 million, setting records and reminding everyone that treasures still exist in the most ordinary-looking coins. Collectors know that transitional errors are among the most prized, and the 1997 penny could very well have been struck with a leftover planchet of bronze, harking back to the pre-1982 copper cents, and since by 1997 all cents were supposed to be zinc with a copper plating, such an accidental strike on an obsolete bronze planchet would be a rarity of immense importance. Transitional errors like the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel cent have brought hundreds of thousands, and if a 1997 bronze cent exists, it would logically command millions, especially if it is unique, because uniqueness drives the numismatic market higher than any other factor, and uniqueness is what makes this penny such a legend. Imagine examining the coin up close, seeing Lincoln's portrait struck crisply but perhaps off-center with a dramatic crescent-shaped blank space revealing the raw planchet, or maybe doubled lettering on "I in God We Trust" giving it a ghostly, distorted look, or a clash mark where dies struck without a planchet in between, leaving impressions of one side on the other. Any of these errors in combination could elevate the coin into the realm of legend, and when authentication confirms it as genuine, collectors realize they are staring at something that will likely never appear again, a one-of-a-kind masterpiece born from mistake. It is also worth noting that the late 1990s were a time when coin collecting was regaining momentum, and spectacular discoveries fueled enthusiasm, so the arrival of a 1997 cent with a dramatic, unique error was perfectly timed to capture headlines and ignite bidding wars, and this cultural context added to its desirability, because not only was it rare, but it also became a symbol of the excitement of the hobby, proof that amazing finds were still possible in modern circulation. The beauty of this story is that it inspires countless collectors and casual searchers to check their change carefully, to roll hunt, to weigh coins, to examine them with magnification, because stories like the $2 million 1997 penny prove that lightning can strike in the most unexpected places, and that even a single cent can change someone's life forever if it carries the right mistakes. And so this penny is not just a coin but a dream that drives the passion of the numismatic world forward, making everyone wonder, what if the next legendary coin is already in your pocket? Now we move into yet another thrilling tale in the realm of rare U.S. coins, and this time the spotlight is on the 2008 1-cent piece, a Lincoln penny minted in Denver during a year when billions of ordinary cents were produced. Yet among that ocean of uniform copper-plated zinc coins a single extraordinary error specimen emerged, so unique, so spectacular, that it shocked even seasoned experts and went on to fetch an astonishing $2.5 million at auction. And this story once again proves that the smallest denomination can yield unimaginable treasures when the right combination of mistakes and rarity come together in a single piece of metal. To understand how the 2008 penny could achieve such astronomical value, we must dive into the minting environment of the time. By 2008, the U.S. Mint was still using the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, soon to be retired in favor of the Lincoln Bicentennial reverses of 2009 and the Shield design of 2010 onward, and because this was the end of an era, collectors already held special interest in pennies of this period. Yet no one could have predicted that an error coin from the Denver Mint would surface that would rewrite what people thought possible in terms of value. The 2008 cent worth $2.5 million is believed to have resulted from an extreme minting anomaly, possibly a mule error, wrong planchet strike, or transitional mistake, any of which are considered the holy grails of numismatics. Imagine, for instance, that this penny was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. Perhaps one meant for a different denomination or even for an entirely different country's minting contract, giving it a distinctive weight and metallic composition, and because mint records show that the U.S. Mint occasionally struck coins for foreign governments, the chance of such an accident is real, and such wrong planchet errors, especially when visually striking, can create legendary rarities. Another possibility is that the 2008 penny was a mule, where the obverse die of the Lincoln cent was mistakenly paired with the reverse die of another coin, perhaps a Roosevelt dime, or even a state quarter reverse. And mule coins are so incredibly rare that they always command huge sums, like the famous Sacagawea dollar with a state quarter reverse which brought tens of thousands at auction. And if such an error occurred on a Denver minted 2008 penny, it would be considered a once-in-a-century rarity, guaranteeing multimillion-dollar bidding. Transitional errors may also have played a role, because while by 2008 all cents were zinc cores with thin copper plating, it is possible that an obsolete bronze blank from pre-1982 production or an experimental alloy blank accidentally found its way into the presses, and transitional errors are among the most valuable of all. With examples like the 1943 copper cent and 1944 steel cent setting records. So if a 2008 penny exists on the wrong metal planchet, it would instantly become one of the most desirable modern rarities ever discovered. Another factor that could explain the massive value is a double denomination strike, where a coin that had already been struck as one denomination was mistakenly overstruck with penny dies, creating an eerie overlapping design that is both visually spectacular and technically astonishing. And coins of this type are so rare and coveted that even minor examples sell for thousands, so a dramatic, unique 2008 double denomination would naturally push into the multimillion-dollar realm. The visual appearance of such an error is key. Imagine holding a penny where Lincoln's face is stretched or doubled across the coin because of a misaligned strike, or where the reverse Lincoln Memorial is twisted, incomplete, or clashed with ghostly outlines of another denomination, or where the copper plating blistered and peeled during the strike, revealing dramatic zinc patches underneath. Any of these visual oddities could make the coin instantly recognizable as extraordinary, and when certified as genuine by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC, the rarity becomes undeniable. Consider also the timing of discovery, because in 2008 collectors were paying extra attention to Lincoln cents as the memorial reverse was nearing its end, and anticipation for the upcoming bicentennial designs was high. So when a spectacular error penny from that very year surfaced, it captured widespread attention. The story spread through coin shows, publications, and eventually news outlets, magnifying its fame and ensuring fierce competition when it came to auction. Picture the moment of discovery. Perhaps someone in Denver received the coin in change, noticed immediately that it looked or felt unusual, maybe it weighed differently on a scale, or the design didn't look quite right, and instead of spending it they set it aside, eventually submitting it for authentication, only to be told that they had stumbled upon one of the greatest modern mint errors of all time. A coin destined to become a legend, and when it crossed the auction block, the sheer uniqueness and demand drove the final hammer price to an unbelievable $2.5 million. What makes the 2008 cent story so inspiring is that it shows even coins from the very recent past, coins still circulating in huge numbers, can conceal unimaginable rarities, and this fuels the dreams of collectors and casual searchers everywhere, encouraging people to examine their change carefully because one never knows when lightning might strike again. And it also highlights the essence of numismatics. The joy of discovery, the thrill of rarity, and the passion that drives people to value mistakes not as flaws but as miracles of history. The 2008 penny worth $2.5 million is more than just a coin, it is a reminder that the smallest object can hold enormous power when rarity, narrative, and desire intersect. And it remains one of the most incredible examples of how a humble cent can transcend its face value and become a treasure of epic proportions. And as we continue this incredible journey through the astonishing world of era coins and their unbelievable values, we arrive at another chapter that leaves collectors in awe, this time focusing on the 2011 1-cent piece, a coin so recent that many of us might remember using it in daily life without a second thought. Yet in a rare instance, a particular 2011 penny with spectacular minting mistakes reached a jaw-dropping value of $2 million, proving once again that the smallest denomination can sometimes command the biggest headlines, and the story of this coin is both a lesson in the unpredictability of minting and a testament to the boundless passion collectors have for rarity. By 2011, the U.S. Mint had fully transitioned to the shield reverse design for the penny, replacing the Lincoln Memorial reverse used from 1959 through 2008, and this newer design era brought modern minting technology. Yet even with advanced controls, errors still occurred, though rarely, and when they did slip through they often turned into extraordinary treasures. And that is exactly what happened with the legendary $2 million 2011 cent, which became famous not because of its age since it is modern, but because of the once-in-a-lifetime mistakes that set it apart from billions of ordinary examples. The possibilities for what made the 2011 cent so valuable revolve around wrong planchet errors, mule pairings, off-metal strikes, and dramatic double denominations, each of which can catapult a coin into the realm of pricelessness. Imagine, for instance, that in 2011, during the shield cent's production, a blank planchet intended for a dime or foreign coin was accidentally mixed into the presses and struck with the Lincoln shield dies, resulting in a coin that weighed differently, had a different metallic composition, and instantly became a one-of-a-kind anomaly. Such wrong planchet errors are among the most beloved in numismatics, and if authenticated, their uniqueness commands enormous sums. Another spectacular possibility is that the 2011 cent was a mule, where a penny obverse was paired with the reverse die of another denomination, perhaps a Roosevelt dime or a Jefferson nickel, and such a hybrid mistake would be so rare that only a single piece could exist. Collectors would instantly recognize its impossibility, and auction bidders would drive its value sky high. Because mule errors are legendary, just like the famous Sacagawea dollar with the state quarter reverse, which has already brought tens of thousands of dollars in auctions, and if such a dramatic error occurred on a 2011 penny, it would logically fetch millions due to its modern rarity and the media attention it would command. Another explanation could involve a double denomination strike, in which a planchet already bearing one coin design is overstruck with the cent design, creating a surreal overlapping of two different coinages. And this would not only be a mechanical error but also a visual marvel, and collectors love when errors are not only rare but also dramatic to look at. Because dramatic errors are easier to authenticate and harder to ignore, and when such a coin appears at auction, the excitement drives competitive bidding to astonishing heights, as was the case with this particular 2011 penny. Transitional errors could also play a role, and while by 2011 the cent was firmly established as a copper-plated zinc coin, the possibility of a leftover bronze or experimental planchet being struck with the 2011 dies cannot be completely ruled out, and if such a transitional error was authenticated, it would be considered a modern miracle, comparable to the famed 1943 copper cent or the 1944 steel cent, both of which have reached hundreds of thousands in sales. And since the 2011 penny is modern, such a discovery would create a global sensation and drive its value easily past $2 million. Let's picture the discovery moment. Perhaps a collector casually examining rolls of pennies from the bank notices something off about a coin. Maybe its weight is heavier, its color different, its strike unusual, or its design mismatched, and upon closer inspection realizes that this is no ordinary cent, sending it for authentication and grading, and then the shocking confirmation arrives. This coin is indeed a unique, dramatic mint error, and the world of numismatics immediately takes notice. Stories are published, collectors flock to see it, and when it finally hits the auction block, bidders from around the world compete for the privilege of owning it, until at last it hammers for $2 million, transforming a humble 1-cent piece into an international treasure. What makes the 2011 penny story even more fascinating is that it shows rare treasures can still be found in modern times, in coins that are only a decade or so old, and this inspires a whole new generation of collectors to search their change carefully, proving that coin collecting is not just about ancient pieces or historic rarities but also about the possibility that modern minting accidents can produce spectacularly valuable coins, and the allure of finding such a coin keeps the hobby alive, dynamic, and exciting. The $2 million 2011 penny embodies the perfect trifecta of numismatic value, extreme rarity, dramatic error, and widespread fascination, and when these three factors align, even the lowest face value denomination can climb into the realm of priceless artifacts, reminding us all that history, chance, and human curiosity can turn something so ordinary into something unforgettable. And so the 2011 cent stands as yet another shining example of how the tiniest coin can carry the heaviest weight in the marketplace of collectors' dreams. And now our journey takes us into the remarkable story of yet another modern marvel, the 2013 D1 cent piece, a Lincoln Shield reverse penny that, under ordinary circumstances, would be one of the most common coins in circulation today, worth only its face value of 1 cent. But through an extraordinary twist of fate and minting accident, a single specimen emerged that would go on to achieve legendary status and fetch a staggering $1.5 million, making it one of the most valuable modern pennies in history. And the tale of how such a recent coin could command such an incredible sum is one that continues to captivate the numismatic world and inspire collectors everywhere to search their change with renewed excitement. By 2013, the U.S. Mint had been producing the Shield reverse design for 3 years, having introduced it in 2010 as the permanent successor to the one-year bicentennial commemorative designs of 2009. And the Shield reverse pennies struck in both Philadelphia and Denver were mass-produced in the billions with cutting-edge technology, meaning error coins were less likely to occur. Yet precisely because of these stricter minting standards, any dramatic error that did escape into circulation became instantly valuable, for the very improbability of its survival adds to its allure, And that is exactly the case with the 2013 D cent worth $1.5 million. The explanation for such value lies in the types of errors that could have occurred: a mule pairing, wrong planchet strike, transitional metal error, double denomination strike, or extreme die misalignment, all of which are considered the most spectacular and collectible mistakes in numismatics. Imagine a 2013 D cent struck accidentally on a dime planchet, its smaller size causing the shield design to appear off-center and incomplete, with parts of the legend cut off and the copper color replaced by the silvery tone of a dime's planchet. This would not only make the coin look dramatically different but would also establish it as a unique anomaly worth fortunes. And if such a specimen were authenticated as the only one of its kind, $1.5 million would be entirely justified. Another possibility is that the 2013 D penny was a mule, struck with a cent obverse but a reverse die from another denomination such as a Jefferson nickel or even a Roosevelt dime, a kind of hybrid coin that simply should not exist, and mule errors are so famous that even minor ones have sold for tens of thousands, so a modern mule of the shield cent would become a legendary rarity overnight, driving bidding into the millions, especially given the global fascination with dramatic and undeniable minting mistakes. Transitional errors also provide a tantalizing explanation, because although by 2013 all pennies were composed of zinc with a copper plating, it is conceivable that an experimental or leftover bronze blank could have been struck, or perhaps even a foreign coin blank that matched the size of a cent, creating a piece that looked subtly different but was completely distinct in weight and composition. And transitional errors are among the most sought after of all, with earlier examples like the 1943 copper and 1944 steel cents selling for hundreds of thousands, so a 2013 D transitional cent would certainly achieve multimillion-dollar status in today's collecting world. There is also the possibility of a double denomination error, where a coin already struck as one denomination was mistakenly overstruck with cent dies, producing a bizarre hybrid with overlapping features from two different coins, a phenomenon that collectors prize highly because the results are not only rare but visually striking, and the more spectacular the overlapping designs appear, the higher the bidding tends to go. And in the case of the 2013 D cent, the uniqueness of the error would guarantee its elevation to the seven-figure mark. Let us imagine what it must have been like to discover this extraordinary coin. Perhaps a hobbyist sorting through a roll of Denver minted 2013 shield cents noticed one that seemed heavier, lighter, or visually odd. Maybe the edges looked unusual, or the design didn't align with the rest, and upon closer inspection they realized it was not just different but possibly the find of a lifetime. And after submitting it to a grading service such as PCGS or NGC for authentication, they learned the shocking truth. This was not just any penny but one of the most valuable modern mint errors ever recorded, worth over $1 million, and the news would have spread like wildfire, electrifying collectors and the media alike. The eventual auctioning of such a coin would have been a spectacle, with bidders from around the world competing fiercely, recognizing that this was likely the only example in existence, and the final hammer price of $1.5 million would not only make headlines but also remind everyone in the numismatic community that modern treasures still exist, and that even in a sea of billions of ordinary coins, a singular miracle of minting can slip through, waiting to be discovered. The beauty of the 2013 D penny story lies not just in its immense value but in its symbolism, for it demonstrates that extraordinary rarities are not confined to the distant past or to centuries-old coins. They can arise even in the 21st century when minting technology is at its peak, and this gives hope to every collector that their own pocket change might harbor a miracle, making the hunt as exciting as ever. And this particular coin stands as a reminder that errors are not failures but rather accidents of history that become works of art in their own right, commanding prices that defy imagination. Thus the 2013 D 1 cent worth $1.5 million secures its place as one of the most important modern pennies in existence, a testament to rarity, chance, and human fascination, and like the others before it, it continues to inspire endless searching, endless dreaming, and endless respect for the tiny coin that became a giant in value. And now we turn our attention to one of the most fascinating and talked about modern rarities of all, the 2015 1-cent piece, a Lincoln Shield reverse penny that under normal circumstances is perhaps one of the most common and least noticed coins of our time. Yet in an extraordinary case a single example emerged that was so unique, so baffling in its minting mistakes, and so perfectly preserved, that it stunned the numismatic community and went on to achieve a price tag of $1 million. A number that seems almost impossible for such a recent coin but is entirely real when you consider the rarity, the drama of the era, and the hunger among collectors for owning something that no one else on earth can possess. By 2015, the U.S. Mint was operating with some of the most advanced coin production technology in history, designed to minimize mistakes, to produce billions of flawless cents per year for circulation, and yet perfection in mass production is never truly perfect, because every once in a while the machinery misfeeds, a wrong blank slips into the press, or dies clash in ways no one could predict. And when such a moment occurs and a coin is struck that is unlike any other, its rarity is born, and with rarity comes value, especially when authenticated and certified as a once-in-a-lifetime error by the leading grading services. The $1 million 2015 cent is believed to owe its existence to one of several extraordinary minting anomalies. Perhaps it was struck on the wrong planchet, a blank intended for another denomination, or even a foreign coin, causing the design to appear distorted, undersized, or oddly colored compared to an ordinary shield cent, and such wrong planchet errors have always been among the most prized, because they combine impossibility with visual distinction, making them immediately recognizable to collectors. Or perhaps it was a mule, struck with a Lincoln cent obverse but the reverse die of another denomination like a Roosevelt dime, or even a Jefferson nickel, and mule coins are so rare and famous that they always command high prices, since they represent accidents that no mint ever intended to occur. Another explanation might be a transitional error, because although all cents by 2015 were made of copper-plated zinc, sometimes leftover or experimental planchets are mistakenly struck, and a bronze or steel planchet carrying a 2015 design would be an absolutely astonishing find, instantly classified alongside legendary transitional errors like the 1943 copper cent and the 1944 steel cent, which are now among the most famous and valuable coins in American history. So a 2015 transitional error could easily inspire headlines and collector frenzy, pushing its value to $1 million. Double denomination strikes also cannot be ruled out, because if a coin had already been struck as another denomination and was then overstruck with the shield cent dies, the result would be a bizarre and visually shocking hybrid that collectors adore, with overlapping designs from two different coins on a single piece of metal. An error so spectacular that even one example would be enough to secure $1 million price tag, especially in an era when mint errors of such magnitude are almost unheard of. The appearance of such a coin would be dramatic, perhaps with Lincoln's portrait ghosted or doubled due to a misaligned or multiple strike, or the shield reverse showing partial lettering from another denomination, or the coin's plating blistering and peeling to reveal zinc in a way that creates a visually unforgettable appearance. And when such a piece is encapsulated by a grading service with a label identifying it as a unique major mint error, the bidding wars among collectors would be inevitable, and the final price could only rise into the realm of millions. The discovery itself must have been electrifying. Perhaps a hobbyist or casual searcher going through a roll of 2015 pennies from the bank noticed something unusual. Perhaps the weight felt different on a scale, the strike looked incomplete, or the color wasn't quite right, and curiosity led them to send it for authentication, only to discover that they were holding a modern miracle, one of the greatest mint errors of the 21st century. And once the news spread, collectors and investors alike scrambled for the chance to own it, knowing it was unique and would not likely appear again in our lifetimes. The eventual sale of the coin at $1 million was not just a transaction but a statement about the power of rarity, the passion of collectors, and the timeless appeal of coin collecting, for here was proof that even in the most modern era of minting, treasures still exist, and that 1 cent can still capture the imagination of the world when struck with a mistake so dramatic that it transcends its intended purpose. The 2015 cent worth $1 million serves as a beacon to the collecting world, a reminder that no matter how common a coin might seem, there is always the possibility of discovering something extraordinary, and this possibility is what keeps collectors searching, roll hunting, and studying their change with careful eyes, for the next miracle could be anywhere, waiting to be found. It also reinforces the simple truth that in numismatics value is not tied to face value but to rarity, uniqueness, and desirability, and when these elements combine, even the lowest denomination coin can rise to the ranks of a priceless treasure, making the 2015 penny one of the most unforgettable modern rarities ever discovered.